and welcome to the TSG Multimedia video podcast for December 2014. This is John sitting with
Dan,
as usual, and we are looking at an HO scale Amtrak California locomotive here. What's up with this one, Dan?
Yeah, this is an Athearn F59PHI that I've detailed and weathered and installed sound in. And the reason I have this here is because this locomotive has suffered a driveline failure.
Ooh, that sounds pretty serious.
Yeah, and in a way it's my own fault because I actually put a can motor in this thing. I took the original motor out and put a can motor, and I had to fabricate new drive shafts.
Oh.
So what I used was something like this. It's a little cup and ball set from Northwest Shortline.
Okay.
So the way these work is you have this little piece with a hole in it, and this is, I don't think, no, these are probably not the right size for this shaft, but the ones in here are have a 2 millimeter hole, and I used a 2 millimeter drive shaft. So it's supposed to fit right in here. And what you do is you cut this off so that there's a little prong on either end. And then that becomes one end. And then that fits in this little cup assembly right here. And the little prongs fit in these little notches.
Okay.
So when it's rotating around, it makes it rotate. And you put, basically there's a little ball on either end of the drive shaft. And it fits into the cups that are on, one cup is on the worm and one's on the flywheel of the motor.
Right.
Okay. But let me show you what happened to it. That's full throttle.
It's not moving.
No, it's not moving. The motor, I guarantee you that motor's going like crazy right now, but nothing's happening.
It's kind of like when I try to come up with a new idea.
So let's pull it apart, and I'm pretty sure I know why that happened. There's a little hairline crack that develops in the little ball piece, and what that does is as soon as it cracks, it no longer has any grip on the shaft, so it just spins.
Yeah.
So the motor will spin, but it's not moving the drive shaft, and this one is actually cracked on both ends, not just one end. And the thing about this is I've used this type of drive shaft setup in 4 engines, and 3 of them have failed.
Maybe this isn't the best kind of drive shaft then, huh?
I'm starting to think that, yeah. And I'm waiting for the 4th one to fail now.
What are the alternatives, though? Are there different drive shaft designs, or what?
Yeah, there's different ways, and that's actually what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go back to the good old-fashioned spline shafts that were actually stock in this engine to begin with because they are reliable. The reason I got rid of them is this type of a drive shaft with just the straight metal piece is a little more stable and doesn't vibrate so much. So
it's probably quieter, huh?
Quieter, yeah.
When it's working.
When it's working, but if it's not working, then it's
Well, then it's real quiet because it just sits up on a shelf and you can't use it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, this engine has been doing just that for the last probably year. Because it's been busted and I haven't opened it up. So I bought myself an A-line kit that has all these different components for spline shafts in it. So I'm going to try to put together a new drive shaft assembly, two of them actually, since these have 2. Okay, so I've removed all of the old drive shaft components and I put new spline shaft and the little holder piece on the flywheel on both ends. Okay. And then I also did the same thing with the worms. I got this little piece here, which fits on the shaft, and then this is the universal. Right. And now all I have to do is I have some of these splines, and I just have to probably cut some to the appropriate length, and then I can put the drive shafts back together.
Oh, I remember this from one of the videos that we've done on modeling where it kind of slides into one and then you slide it into the other to push it together.
Yeah, see these have a little keyway.
Yeah.
And then the spline just slides in like that.
Got it.
And the main thing you want to do with these is make sure this one's actually pretty tight, which is a good thing. What happens sometimes if there's not tight enough is that they can vibrate like this.
Yes.
While it's moving.
Right.
And that actually makes noise.
which is terrible.
Yeah, it's like a guitar string almost vibrating. Especially as the engine goes faster and faster, it gets it's noisy. So, but if they're nice and tight in there, then they don't do that so much. So
that's why the length is important, to get it to the right length.
Yeah, you want these to pretty much completely fill the cup.
Right.
You can leave a little bit of wiggle room because you don't want it to be so tight that it's binding anything.
Yeah. You have to be able to pull it off later, right?
Yeah.
If in case you need to.
Yeah, and I usually put a little bit of white grease in here too, like on the end, just to kind of make sure it's free in there.
Excellent.
But anyway, this is really old school Athearn, but the good thing about this stuff is that it's very reliable.
Yeah.
There's
something to be said for it works.
It works, yeah. So that's what I'm going to do this time. So it's running pretty good now. It's a Lux on Select in there, by the way. I love the Amtrak horn they have.
All right. Well, yeah, it looks like it's running really well.
Yeah.
So it actually moves. That's a bonus, right?
It's working again.
Yeah.
It's not broken.
All right. Okay, well, I guess that'll do it for this month's video podcast. So make sure you tune into the audio podcast like usual. Be sure to rate and subscribe and put your comments below this video if you want to have, or if you have any questions. And I guess that's it. We'll talk to you next time, and thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks.